February 2nd, 1943. In the frozen ruins of a city erased from the map, nearly 300,000 soldiers vanish. No evacuation, no breakout, no rescue. An entire German army, the most feared fighting force on Earth, lays down its weapons or freezes to death where it stands. This is not just a defeat. It is the moment Nazi Germany begins to die. But here's the question history rarely asks. How did a city with no military value, no defenses, and no mercy become the deadliest battlefield in human history? Why did Adolf Hitler gamble everything on one ruined name on the Volga River? And why did Joseph Stalin decide that not one step back was worth sacrificing over 2 million lives? To understand Stalingrad, you must forget everything you think you know about World War II, because this was not a battle. This was industrial-scale human destruction. This is the story of how a city became a grave and how the war was decided in the rubble.
In the summer of 1942, Nazi Germany is still winning. France has fallen. Western Europe is occupied. The Luftwaffe dominates the skies. But in the east, something has gone wrong. Operation Barbarossa, Hitler's invasion of the Soviet Union, was supposed to end the war in months. Instead, it has become a bleeding wound. German supply lines are stretched. Winter has shattered morale. The Red Army, supposedly inferior, refuses to collapse. So Hitler changes strategy. No longer Moscow, no longer Leningrad. Now he wants oil. The Caucasus oil fields are the fuel that keeps Germany alive, and Stalingrad sits directly on the route. But there's another reason, a personal reason. The city bears the name Stalin. Capturing it would be more than a victory. It would be a symbolic execution. Hitler believes that if Stalingrad falls, Soviet morale will collapse. Stalin believes if Stalingrad falls, the Soviet Union may not survive. Both men are right about many things, but both are right about one. Whoever holds Stalingrad controls the war's future.
In June 1942, Germany launches Operation Blue. Its goal? Split Army Group South into two massive forces. Army Group A pushes toward the Caucasus oil fields. Army Group B, led by General Friedrich Paulus, moves towards Stalingrad. On paper, it's brilliant. In reality, it's catastrophic. Splitting forces across thousands of miles weakens everything: supply, coordination, air support. But Hitler ignores his generals. He micromanages from Berlin, issuing orders that cannot be obeyed on the ground. Paulus, a disciplined staff officer with no experience commanding massive armies, marches forward anyway. By August 1942, the German Sixth Army reaches the outskirts of Stalingrad. What they see shocks them. The city is already burning, not from German bombs, but from Stalin's orders. Factories, homes, warehouses, everything that could shelter the enemy is destroyed. Civilians are trapped inside, men, women, children. Stalin refuses evacuation. His logic is brutal. If the city lives, it will surrender. If it dies, it will fight.
On August 23, 1942, the Luftwaffe begins one of the most devastating bombing campaigns of the war. Over 1,000 tons of bombs fall in a single day. Entire districts vanish. The Volga River is clogged with burning debris and bodies. An estimated 40,000 civilians die in 24 hours. German commanders believe the city is finished. They are wrong. The bombing turns Stalingrad into something worse than a fortress. It becomes a maze. Rubble blocks tanks. Collapsed buildings create sniper nests. Every ruined factory becomes a strong point. The Red Army adapts instantly. They stop defending the city as territory. They defend it as space. One room, one staircase, one wall at a time. This kind of fighting has a name. The Germans call it Rattenkrieg, rat war.
There are no front lines in Stalingrad. Enemies fight across hallways, through floors, from opposite sides of the same wall. Hand grenades replace artillery, shovels replace bayonets, snipers rule the ruins. The most famous is Vasily Zaitsev, a former hunter from Siberia. He uses rubble, shadows, and patience. His confirmed kills exceed 200 German soldiers. But Stalingrad isn't about heroes, it's about attrition. German advantages, tanks, aircraft, coordination mean nothing inside collapsed factories. Every building costs lives. Every block costs hundreds. German officers begin reporting something terrifying. The enemy does not retreat. Even when surrounded, they keep fighting. This isn't bravery, it's doctrine.
On July 28, 1942, Stalin issues Order Number 227. Its message is absolute: not one step back. Any soldier retreating without orders is shot. Blocking detachments stand behind Soviet lines. Execution squads enforce discipline. The Red Army has no choice. They fight or they die. Reinforcements cross the Volga under constant German fire. Many never reach shore. Some drown, some freeze, some are bombed mid-crossing. Those who survive are handed a rifle, sometimes without ammunition, and told to take it from a fallen comrade. The Volga becomes a conveyor belt of death, but still, the city holds.
3 locations become legendary: the Red October Factory, the Badikati Factory, the Tractor Factory. These are not military bases. They are industrial ruins, yet fighting inside them lasts months. At the Tractor Factory, Soviet tanks roll off the assembly line and drive directly into combat, unpainted, unfinished, sometimes without radios. Workers fight alongside soldiers. Some die at their machines. The Germans take a factory, lose it overnight, retake it the next morning. Maps become useless. Commanders mark positions by piles of corpses. By November 1942, the Germans control 90% of Stalingrad. Paulus reports victory is imminent. Hitler celebrates prematurely. But beyond the ruins, beyond the city, something massive is moving, quietly, in the frozen steppe. The Red Army is no longer defending. It is preparing to strike. And when it does, the world will witness the greatest encirclement in military history.
By early November 1942, General Friedrich Paulus believes he is days away from total victory. German flags fly over most of the city. Soviet resistance seems broken into isolated pockets. Hitler sends congratulatory messages. German newspapers prepare headlines. But Paulus is blind to the bigger picture. Because Stalingrad is not the battlefield anymore, it's the bait. While the Sixth Army bleeds inside the ruins, its flanks are held not by elite German troops, but by Romanian, Hungarian, and Italian units. These allies are brave, but poorly equipped. Few anti-tank guns, almost no winter gear, outdated weapons. The Red Army has been watching this weakness for months, and now winter is coming.
Marshal Georgy Zhukov, Stalin's most dangerous general, designs a counteroffensive unlike anything the Germans expect. Its name is Operation Uranus. The plan is simple and devastating. Ignore Stalingrad itself, strike the weak flanks, encircle the entire Sixth Army. To make it work, the Soviets use maskirovka, deception warfare. Fake radio traffic, false troop movements, dummy bridges, silent nighttime deployments. Entire Soviet armies move under camouflage and darkness. Over 1 million men, 900 tanks, 13,000 artillery pieces assemble without the Germans realizing the scale. German reconnaissance fails. Hitler dismisses warnings. He believes the Red Army is finished. It is not.
November 19, 1942, 7:20 a.m. The Soviet artillery opens fire. The ground shakes for over an hour. Romanian lines north of Stalingrad collapse almost immediately. Soviet tanks surge forward, T-34s moving through snow, smoke, and panic. The next day, the southern flanks fall just as fast. German command finally understands the truth. This is not a counterattack. This is an encirclement. By November 23rd, Soviet spearheads meet at the town of Kalach. The ring closes. 300,000 Axis troops are trapped. For the first time in the war, an entire German field army is surrounded.
Paulus immediately requests permission to break out. His generals agree. There is still fuel, still tanks, still a chance. Hitler says no. He issues one of the most catastrophic orders in military history. The Sixth Army will hold its position. He promises resupply by air. Hermann Göring assures him the Luftwaffe can deliver 300 tons per day. This is fantasy. At best, they deliver 90 tons, often far less. Winter temperatures drop to minus 30 degrees Celsius. Food disappears. Ammunition runs low. Horses are slaughtered for meat. Wounded soldiers freeze to death in open trenches. Yet Hitler forbids retreat. Stalingrad becomes a prison.
The encircled area becomes known as the Kessel, the cauldron. Inside it, hell takes shape. Soldiers eat soup made from snow and animal bones. Frostbite claims fingers, toes, limbs. Dysentery spreads. Airfields are shelled relentlessly. Pilots land under fire, unload supplies, load wounded, and take off again if they can. Many never leave. The dead are stacked like firewood. Morale collapses. Yet discipline remains because German soldiers still believe relief is coming. They are wrong.
In December 1942, Hitler authorizes Operation Winter Storm. Field Marshal Erich von Manstein leads a rescue attempt from the south. His forces advance rapidly. At their closest point, they are less than 50 kilometers away. Inside the pocket, Paulus begs again for permission to break out and meet them. Hitler refuses. He orders Paulus to hold. Manstein's relief force is stopped by Soviet counterattacks. Winter Storm collapses. The Sixth Army is alone.
On January 30th, 1943, the 10th anniversary of Hitler's rise to power, Paulus receives a message. He is promoted to field marshal. No German field marshal has ever surrendered. Hitler expects Paulus to kill himself. Paulus does not. He chooses surrender over suicide. 2 days later, Soviet forces split the pocket in half. Resistance crumbles. On February 2, 1943, the last German units surrender. Over 90,000 soldiers march into captivity. Fewer than 6,000 will ever return home. The battle is over, but its consequences are just beginning because Stalingrad does not just end an army, it changes the direction of World War II forever.
When the guns finally fall silent at Stalingrad, the silence is almost unnatural. No victory parades, no cheers, only wind moving through ruins filled with frozen bodies. The dead are everywhere, in basements, in stairwells, inside tanks that never moved again. This is not a battlefield, it is a mass grave. On the morning of February 2, 1943, scattered German units begin laying down their weapons. There is no single moment of surrender, no grand ceremony, just exhaustion. Officers burn documents, soldiers destroy rifles, some weep openly. General Friedrich Paulus, now a field marshal for only 2 days, is captured in the basement of a destroyed department store. He refuses to issue a surrender order, instead allowing individual units to decide. It is the quiet collapse of an army. For the first time in history, a full German field army ceases to exist.
Approximately 91,000 Axis soldiers go into Soviet captivity. Among them, 22 generals, thousands of wounded, teenagers and old men. They are marched east, on foot, in winter. Many are barefoot, many are starving, many collapse and are shot or left behind. Of those captured, fewer than 6% will survive Soviet prison camps. The rest die from disease, hunger, exposure, and exhaustion. Stalingrad does not end with surrender. It continues for years, in silence.
Stalingrad is the bloodiest battle in human history. The numbers are staggering. Over 2 million casualties total. Around Axis casualties, 750,000. Soviet casualties, over 1.2 million. Civilian deaths, at least 40,000, likely far more. The city is 90% destroyed, factories flattened, homes erased, the Volga choked with wreckage. When Soviet engineers survey the ruins, they estimate it will take decades to rebuild. Some areas are never rebuilt at all.
News of the defeat reaches Germany slowly. Nazi propaganda tries to soften the blow, but the truth leaks through. For the first time, Germans realize the war may not be winnable. Hitler is shattered. He withdraws further from reality. He trusts fewer generals. He interferes more. He issues more stand-fast orders. Stalingrad does not just destroy an army, it destroys German strategic flexibility. From this point on, Germany reacts, it no longer leads.
For Stalin, Stalingrad is transformation. Before, the Soviet Union is fighting for survival. After, it believes in victory. The Red Army learns it can defeat the Wehrmacht, not just resist it. Commanders gain confidence, doctrine evolves, coordination improves. From Kursk to Berlin, the Red Army will never again fight defensively on this scale. Stalingrad flips the psychological balance of the war. Many battles are turning points. Stalingrad is something else because it proves 5 brutal truths. Industrial warfare rewards endurance, not brilliance. Urban combat negates technological superiority. Logistics decide wars more than bravery. Ideology can override reason with catastrophic results. Modern war consumes entire societies, not just armies. This battle rewrites military doctrine worldwide. Every modern army studies Stalingrad, because if you survive Stalingrad, you can survive anything.
Today, Stalingrad is called Volgograd, but the past is never far away. Unexploded shells still surface after rain. Mass graves remain beneath apartment blocks. Every year, remains are found. The Mamayev Kurgan Hill, once soaked in blood, now holds a towering statue. The motherland calls. It does not celebrate victory, it demands remembrance. Stalingrad was not won by tactics alone. It was won by suffering, by civilians who refused to flee, by soldiers ordered not to retreat, by commanders willing to trade lives for time. It was a victory paid for in human flesh, and it asks a final, uncomfortable question. Was it worth it? History does not answer. It only records the cost. Because after Stalingrad, the world was no longer the same. The war would continue for 2 more years, but its outcome was decided in the ruins of one broken city. Stalingrad is over, but historians still argue over one question. Was this defeat inevitable, or was it engineered by arrogance? Because when you strip away ideology, weather, and propaganda, Stalingrad was not lost in the ruins, it was lost in decisions.
For decades, Germany blamed one thing: the Russian winter. Snow, cold, ice. But winter didn't destroy the Sixth Army. Decisions did. Winter affects both sides, yet the Red Army adapted. The Germans did not. They lacked winter uniforms, lubricants for weapons, cold weather logistics planning. The Soviets planned around winter. The Germans hoped to outrun it. Hope is not strategy. Stalingrad marks the moment Hitler stops listening entirely. He overrules Paulus, Manstein, and the OKH High Command. He issues orders based on ideology, not reality. Hold the line, no retreat, victory is imminent. These orders are not tactical, they are theatrical. By refusing breakout, Hitler turns a defeat into annihilation. At Stalingrad, Hitler does not just lose an army, he proves he is incapable of learning.
Wars are won by supply. At Stalingrad, German supply lines stretch over 1,000 miles. Rail gauges don't match. Fuel shortages cripple mobility. The Luftwaffe was never capable of supplying an army by air. Never, even under ideal conditions. Stalingrad proves a brutal truth. If you can't feed it, you can't fight it.
Early in the war, the Red Army is clumsy. By Stalingrad, it is evolving. Key changes: decentralized command, combined arms coordination, urban combat specialization, mass artillery doctrine. Soviet commanders stop fighting German-style battles. They fight Russian battles. Slow, relentless, overwhelming. Stalingrad is where the Red Army becomes a modern killing machine. Stalingrad neutralizes German advantages. Tanks, trapped by rubble. Air power, limited visibility. Blitzkrieg, impossible. Every building becomes a fortress. Every soldier becomes a unit. Urban war favors defenders, numbers, brutality. Germany was built to fight fast wars. Stalingrad forced it to fight a slow one. That sealed its fate.
Myth: Paulus was incompetent. Reality: he was trapped by impossible orders. Myth: Soviets won by numbers alone. Reality: they won by planning and adaptation. Myth: Stalingrad was accidental. Reality: it was deliberately engineered. The Soviets chose where to bleed and where to strike. That is strategy.
The impact is immediate. In London, church bells ring. In Washington, Stalingrad confirms the USSR can win. In occupied Europe, resistance movements surge. In Axis capitals, fear spreads. Stalingrad proves Nazi Germany is not invincible. Once that myth dies, everything changes.
After Stalingrad, Kursk shatters German armor. Operation Bagration destroys Army Group Center. Soviet forces push west relentlessly. Germany never regains strategic initiative. Every mile forward is paid in blood. Stalingrad is not the end. It is the point of no return. Amid the horror, moments remain. Soldiers sharing bread, doctors treating enemies, civilians surviving underground. Stalingrad is proof of both extremes: human cruelty, human endurance. Both exist simultaneously.
So what was Stalingrad? Not a battle, not a victory, not a defeat. It was a breaking point, a moment where ideology met reality, ambition met logistics, pride met consequence. It was the place where Nazi Germany lost the war, even though it didn't know it yet.
Stalingrad no longer exists, but its lesson does. Wars are not won by symbols. They are not won by names on maps. They are not won by refusing to retreat. They are won by understanding reality before reality destroys you. And at Stalingrad, reality won.